Welcome to the Thoughts of Microdac. I'm so glad you're here. This is my little chit-chat, unscripted, off the cuff. Today, let's cook something easy, delicious, and very filling. I really gotta tell you that this is probably the best tasting recipe or video that I have ever made. It was delicious beyond words. If you like pork, as a matter of fact, if you like smoked pork hocks, smoked ham hocks, you're gonna love this recipe. I mean love, capital L. But it's only fair to warn you that for every 3 pounds of pork hocks, you're only going to get about a pound worth of meat. But it's worth it. Why only a pound? That's because of the bones. So let's get on with it, and I'll tell you exactly how I made this video. First of all, you're going to need 1 large onion. That's it. 1/3 to 1/2 of a Scotch bonnet pepper, or no pepper at all. And then you're going to need about 1/2 cup of soy sauce. Then you're going to need some salt, to suit your own taste of course, and maybe 1/8 cup of vinegar. Vinegar is good for you anyway. And then you're going to need a pressure cooker. A word of warning about a pressure cooker. If you have never used a pressure cooker, then you should never use a pressure cooker, meaning that you should know what you're doing before you use a pressure cooker. I really didn't mean to scare you, but it is important that I tell you that the pressure cooker is not for someone who has never used one. Then, of course, I prepared the onion by chopping that up. I used some scallion, of course, the pepper I told you about, and a secret ingredient. My secret ingredient, of course, is pimento, about 6 or 7 berries. Earlier, I mentioned that for every 3 pounds of ham hock, you'll get maybe a pound, maybe 1.25 pounds worth of meat. That's because, as I said before, of all the bones. There are a lot of bones in ham hocks, but it is worth it, believe me. Okay, so I just want to say that you should feel free to discuss the merits of the carnivore diet versus the vegan diet, because together we learn. So don't be afraid. So don't plug in your pressure cooker quite yet, but add the different ingredients. As you can see, I've added the onions. I have added 1/2 of a Scotch bonnet pepper. I have added some thyme. I like thyme. And I've added some berries, some pimento berries. Then, of course, you want to add the ham hock to everything in the pot. Okay? Now that the ham hock is in the pot, it's time to add some liquid. Here I'm adding some vinegar. Vinegar is good for you. Then, of course, what we want to do is to add the soy sauce. And you see, I am adding the soy sauce, and I'm being generous with my addition. This is my personal taste. I like onions, and I also like soy sauce, and I like salt, and I like these sort of things. You're going to add to your taste. As for salt, I like the Himalayan sea salt. That's the salt of choice. Then after that, I add a cup of water. I put the container in the pressure cooker, and I add a cup of water. I then put the lid on the pressure cooker, and notice that it is at open right now. This particular pressure cooker is the easiest one I've ever used. And now I close the lid. I went from open to close. And then I set the pressure cooker to pressure and to pork. The pressure cooker, of course, for cooking pork ordinarily would be 30 minutes, but I'm cooking ham hocks to my specification. I will be cooking this ham hock for 1 hour because I want the meat to fall off the bone. See what I mean? And now, of course, as far as you're concerned, you're all finished in setting the settings. You can go ahead and do something else. You have set the pressure cooker to pressure, you have set it to pork, and you have set it to 1 hour. So, go someplace else and do something else. And now, this pressure cooker is on automatic. You have set it to pressure, you have set it for 1 hour, and of course, it is now on its own. It'll start a countdown, and once it's all finished, it'll go to warm automatically. Do not open this pressure cooker until about an hour after it is done. I am not insulting your intelligence, believe me, I am not. But if you started this pressure cooker at 12 o'clock for 1 hour, you don't want to even open it until 2 o'clock. 1 hour for cooking and an hour for cooling down. Once it's cooked, of course, the fun begins because you'll then separate the bone from the meat. And I'll share the secret with you. I personally like to suck in the bones. I do. And then I put the meat in the refrigerator. When I was in the Navy, one of my favorite meals in the Navy was some sort of a meat on toast. There's a name for it, but I don't want to get into that right now. So today, right after it was done, I went ahead and made a slice of toast. And what I did was I added some of the freshly cooked pork with that rich gravy, with the soy sauce and the onions and the pimento and the thyme. Oh boy, it was so delicious. This was my lunch today, and it was delicious. Of course, what I did then was to just put it into a bowl and put it in the refrigerator, and once it's been in the refrigerator overnight, this is what you have. You can then slice it and do all kind of creative things. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bon appetit! This little chit-chat was produced by me, and quite frankly, I don't always know what I'm talking about, but you do. So together we learn. Be sure to add your own comments and to add your own corrections. I would appreciate that. In the meantime, have a super wonderful day. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.